Minecraft is a game full of many possibilities when it comes to building, and with so many different blocks to work with, it can be difficult to develop consistency in your building style. So, how do you be original? How do you avoid simply copying from other building styles that you know work so well? My name is System Z, and today I'm here to show you how to develop your own building style in Minecraft. Before we begin, I'd like to first differentiate building styles from architecture styles. Developing building styles doesn't necessarily mean choosing between different types of architecture, such as medieval, modern, and so on. To provide a phrase, those would simply be considered types of architecture. Your own unique building style, however, would more showcase the many different quirks you demonstrate when building anything in Minecraft. For example, when building a simple medieval house, do you build your frame flush against the wall or protruding one block away like what you see now? Those minor details are, in my opinion, what separates you from the other builders in Minecraft. So, how do you develop your own unique building style? By building a collection of quirks, and there are a few ways to do that. First and foremost, by exploring other builds in Minecraft. Whenever I'm in the midst of a creative block, I'll usually head onto some popular building servers or even find building videos on YouTube to be inspired by the many different styles from other builders. That doesn't necessarily mean copying them directly, but instead seeing the many different possibilities. The next method is to build with friends as often as you can, as multiple minds working together is much better than one. Doing this will allow you to discover and pick up different quirks from other players, seeing them live in action. You can also brainstorm together as a group, coming up with different methods of building or ways to resolve problems whilst working towards the same goal. This is a fantastic way to keep your building skills fresh and original. The last method I can suggest is to build as often as you possibly can. How can you expect yourself to grow as a builder if you aren't really ever building, other than occasionally? Between the many different builders in Minecraft, you'll usually find that they have a test building world full of successful and failed building attempts. My recommendation would be to continue building every day, testing the many different styles and techniques that you've picked up with your time playing Minecraft. And if you aren't already doing so, I really recommend you step outside your comfort zone. Don't limit yourself to one type of architecture. Play around with medieval, modern, cityscape, landscaping, and even organic builds. The simple truth to developing your own building style is to simply build. For this video though, we are going to try one simple exercise, and I really encourage you guys to join along. As a side note, if you do join along, share your results to me on Twitter at SystemZ, link in the description. For this video, try building the same house 3 different times, following different techniques or quirks that you've picked up from your time playing Minecraft. Really test your limits here and try things you wouldn't normally be comfortable with. I'm going to go ahead and do that here and share the results with you after. Let's get started. Alright guys, I have gone ahead and finished the challenge for today's video. We have 3 different, well really the same houses, just 3 different styles. Now overall, this is kind of the bare bones version of the same house. Collectively, there's really not much different between all 3 of these houses other than the very small personal touches that make up someone's own style. Now this middle house kind of more exemplifies what I personally would call my building style, and I'm going to point out a couple of things to really show you what I mean by quirks and things that you can pick up and hopefully inspire a couple for your own building style. Now for the first house, we have a very basic house, very plain and in my opinion pretty ugly. No offense if this is what you build like. That's why you're watching this video, right? To expand upon your building style. But this is really more not a style. This is just a basic structure. In my opinion, it really lacks personality, and when you see it, really anybody could have built it. Typically what you want as a builder is for people to see what you built and know exactly who built it and be amazed, and if they don't know, they want to figure out who. You want to really stand out, and this doesn't really stand out just because it's very basic. It's got a simple, solid, color structure. Very solid walls, basic design. Really nothing special about it, and when you go on the inside, it's pretty thrown together. It doesn't really look planned out at all. It doesn't have that personal touch. So this house is a template more than anything. I'm going to show you essentially how you can build the same house but add your own quirks to it. And again, we'll call this house the template. Moving on, we have house number 2, which does actually show more of my building style, like I said. Now this is essentially the same exact house. You can see the shape is there. I've just added a couple of other details to the side. There's not this little overhang like there is over here, but collectively it is the same house. We've still got the oak and the spruce wood, just like we do over there, and the windows are in the same exact placements. There are just a couple of smaller details in there that really help differentiate this house from my own style of the same house. Now the first thing you might notice is there is actually a foundation. This is something a lot of builders do. Myself, Grian, Good Times with Scar, BOO, just to name a few, definitely do foundations on builds. And this is one of my own personal favorites. It's kind of the cobblestone rubble look where it really looks thrown together. That just really help transition your build from the ground below and really make it feel naturally, uprised in a way and kind of really blend it all together. The next thing you might notice is that the windows actually have detail, whereas over there they're really plain. We've got a couple of different things here to really help it pop, such as the stairs here to really add depth to it, another layer with the trapdoors poking out, and even the pillars here to really bring it all together, help this entire picture come together to be a very personalized style. Now another thing that you might see is over here, this is actually one of my favorite quirks that I personally have. This is an open window. To do this, I basically just got glass panes and put them on the outside of the window, and this actually adds a lot to the overall atmosphere of your build, especially on the inside. It makes it feel a lot more open. I like to think that, it allows the breeze to come through and just kind of makes the house really feel like home and make it feel really comfortable. But that is something you might see on my build, so that way when people see something like that, they know exactly who built it. There's a lot of personality there. There's also little outside features that I normally do, like a furnace just like this. And another thing is I picked up this little minor detail where you get stairs and just kind of put them upside down and upright and just kind of get it all random to really look like there's a chip off of the block in a sense. And that's something I typically do on solid structures. So those are just a collection of my different quirks. I also like to do a very small amount of shrubbery in there. If you make it go crazy, you will not like it. Trust me, it is a very bad result if you just put leaves everywhere. That's definitely not a good thing to reward. But the next thing is, for the roof, we actually have solid blocks instead of stairs, and it's also a different color. That just brings a little bit more texture and life to the build. It really makes it pop. I've also got a double door there, whereas over there we have a single door. Now on the inside, as you saw, it's definitely a lot better. There's actual good use being made of the spaces. Now, it could definitely use some work, but overall, I'm much more happy with this interior than that interior. I added a little sofa here with hidden lighting under the carpet, with all the colors actually matching as well. We have these grand seats here with the nice little back plate there that matches the red with the carpet and the bed. That's something I actually love to do. That's another one of my own personal quirks, is really matching all the colors together. But overall, it's a very, very simple house, and really just an expansion of the template from the house before. Moving on, we have house number 3, which is the last house of the video. This is actually a huge example of differentiated building styles. This and this are basically the same house, just with huge changes with the overall structure and way it was built. Now, in the beginning of the video, I mentioned that you can do pillars flush against the wall or concave against the wall, as you can see here, or more convex out of the wall, I guess. As you can see here, the wall is 1 block back from the pillars, which really make it pop. That's something I don't typically do, but I love it when people do it because it adds an extra sense of depth. And anytime you can make a wall not so flat, it's a good thing. But it can be overdone. Another thing is the foundation is actually 3 blocks high as opposed to 1 layer. That actually helps raise the build up and make it feel a lot more grand than it actually is. But if you really just think of it like this, where the grass is on that level there, it's really the same house. Again, there's just a couple of minor details that really change it up. One of the other things I did is the furnace is more of a 2x2, which I normally don't do, but I'm very pleased with the way it turned out. That's a good way to add a little bit more difference to the build than what people might normally do. I've also added this little shutter design, which is a good way to provide interest to this wall. And to give an example of outside features, there's this water wheel, which is totally not realistic because it doesn't even reach the water, but we'll just pretend like that didn't happen, as well as landscaping. I've definitely done a little bit of that. I really encourage landscaping. That's the only way you're really going to make your builds pop after all. I've also got this little extra piece here that kind of raises the entrance up and really makes it feel grand. That way if people were to come out and they see people down there, it really raises them up and makes the house feel a lot more valuable than it actually is. Now since this is definitely a medieval house, I've also added some hay on the very bottom. That's just a little extra detail to really show that someone's living there. And again, you see my little quirk there of keeping the windows open. But if we go inside, this is actually a little bit more personalized to medieval, which is something you might find in some building styles where they actually try and match the theme that they're going with. This is a very closed off interior. It does not feel nearly as open, but I absolutely love it. As you can see, we've also got a loft up here for the bedroom, which is very cool. Now, obviously we can't sleep in that bed, but that's another thing. If you like to build in creative, maybe you'd like to do this instead, making another one of your quirks. Now, I also like to do these hanged lighting schemes, and also what you can see, another thing, is where the colors match up. The blue flowers, the blue tabletop, and the carpet all match up to really tie things together very well. And that's one of the things I absolutely love to do in the game. We've also got a very basic furnace here, which is pretty nicely placed, but overall a very, compact interior that, not my personal favorite, but there's definitely a unique touch to this build. But that is basically it. Those are the 3 different houses. Oh, and then there's this. This is the potted plant design that I absolutely adore. It's just a basic terracotta with a flower pot, a cactus, and some leaves. Very, very nice detail there. But overall, these houses are the exact same. There's just a couple of differences that really make them shine in their own way. Now, the way you get those is just by practicing. Just do what I've done here and build the same house 3 different times. I don't ever do this, but I decided to give it a shot, and it turned out to be pretty cool looking. It could definitely use some work, but there's definitely a lot of room for inspiration there and even improvement, like I said. But altogether, the shape is the exact same. The color palette is the exact same. Same house, just different techniques. That's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Also, let me know what you'd like to learn next in the comments below. My name is System Z. You guys have been awesome, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.